Welcome back to MMAOddsBreaker. Today on the phone we have Sara McMann, who's getting ready to fight Lauren Murphy. Coming up here August 16th, UFC Fight Night in Bangor, Maine. Sara, first question is, are you still paying attention to the women's wrestling internationally?
I haven't for a little bit. Like I catch things here and there. Whenever I see different girls, but I don't follow it closely.
You know, every wrestler that I've talked to that has moved on to MMA or moved on to any other sport, whether it's training other MMA fighters or being the actual fighters themselves, they've all kind of stopped watching international competition. But if the wrestler moves on to a regular 9-to-5 job, whether it's accountant, lawyer, doctor, whatever, they all still kind of follow it. Do you not follow just because you're too busy with everything else going on?
I think that's definitely the case for me, just because I'm really serious about, learning the other two arts of, grappling and submission stuff and the striking. So it kind of makes it to where, I only have so much time, and whenever I'm watching different videos and stuff like that, it's got to be the stuff that I have to learn rather than, I keep up more with my friends.
Yeah, exactly. Now that I'm so old that none of my friends are still around. They've all moved on to coaching positions, so there's nothing left for me to watch. Although I'm not gonna lie, I do love Jordan Burroughs. I do love watching him compete.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, I really don't pay attention at all, and it's just because that's the nature of kind of what we do. But
yeah,
I got to ask you. Obviously, wrestling's your forte. That's your love. That's where you started. Of the other two, which is the toughest for you to actually grab, technically speaking? Like, which one was hardest for you to learn?
So it's kind of different. In the beginning, striking was way harder just because it's so different, it was harder, and like the grappling part, I kind of took to a little bit faster, but now it's kind of flip-flopped, because some of the grappling is difficult because it's rewriting new muscle memory that I did for 16 years. So, that's kind of the difficult part of like the thousands of hours of drills to do, something different. Whereas some of the technique for striking, I never learned something different from an upright position. So it's kind of like starting to become second nature.
Okay. All right, I can see that. You seem to be very proficient in the stand-up striking game until, and I hate to bring it up, your last fight with Ronda Rousey. And that, all of a sudden, she got caught with that inside knee. Was it a fluke? Because, of course, hindsight's 20/20. So her post-fight interview, she's like, yeah, we saw that flaw. We knew that she'd get caught with an inside knee, so I threw the inside knee. Honestly, I'm not sure if she actually trained it that way and that's what happened, so a perfect game plan, or if it just was a fluke thing, she caught you and you fell. Was that something that you've been hit with before in practice that you kind of knew is something that you're susceptible to, is that inside knee? Or was that the first time you've actually felt it happen?
Yeah, everybody's been hit with knees in practice, it's not like anybody came in and dominated me with knees. I think there was a lot more of a fluke because she'd even thrown knees earlier on in the fight that I, didn't absorb or deflected or, posted on. So one got through and I was pretty stretched out and I wasn't tightened up and prepared for it. And that, I think that's the name of the game whenever something happens and you don't feel it or expect it. But another thing that happens is that, a lot of my focus was more on keeping it standing, just to stay out of her comfort area. And anybody else, I would have just taken them down. Once I get a body lock on somebody, it's that part is automatic. I don't have to rewrite anything there. So, having a game plan that kept me keeping on the feet, I definitely should say that I should have paid more attention to the clinch work rather than, the striking work. But yeah, hindsight 20/20.
Yeah, and I actually kind of thought that was strange too, so I'm glad you explained that to me for my own benefit, because I was wondering, why did you just take her down? You had that body lock. It's a perfect position for you. You're so good at that position. But also, too, I was thinking, take her down and pass. Don't end up in her guard. Make sure you're at least in half guard. I wasn't sure if that position was correct for that to happen, and that's why you didn't do it. But now that I know that you were focused on keeping it up, it makes sense.
Well, I didn't mind. I wouldn't even mind going to the ground in general because, I work with a lot of high-level grapplers. But that the more game plan was to break her and soften her on the feet. Since striking obviously isn't her forte. So I was like, I know that I hit hard, so keep it on the feet. Not the whole fight, but for the beginning of the fight. And I had to there's even a point in the fight where she came in. I don't know if she was attempting to throw or whatever, but I had a lock around her body, and I let it go. Like I was like trying to, like I said, rewrite a little bit of muscle memory. And we look back at that, and we're like, oh, if I had just done what I've trained to do and lifted and taken her to the ground, could have ended up differently. But I don't really look back and try to, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I just don't think that is really good for learning and moving forward and growing.
Well, that's the wrestling mentality, because we come from a society where we wrestle on Tuesday, we screw up. We can't think about what coulda, shoulda happened on Tuesday because we have to do it again on Thursday. And if we try to rehash Tuesday, Thursday, we're in a tournament on Saturday. We have no time to think about. We just have to go forward and move forward. And that's that wrestling mentality that kind of keeps us alive.
Yeah, mid-tournament. You lose, and you're going to come back for third. Well, you obviously don't want to lose to somebody else you don't feel like you should deserve to if you thought you should have been in the final. So you better have a quick turnaround and, get your head right and get right back on. So
we all know
basically what I did.
We all know that the Ronda Rousey fight is going to happen again if she stays undefeated and stays the champ.
Yeah.
If you may not even know, because you might not even look at these other girls. You may not even know. But now the rumors are Gina Carano is going to come in and have a title shot with Ronda Rousey right away. Holly Holm has just signed to the UFC, but she's getting a warm-up fight first. And then, of course, there's always Christiana Cyborg out there. Of course, I'm picking you as the first one to do it. And I did. I thought you would have that night. Be the first one to beat her and put her down. Without you being in that mix, go ahead and just, of Carano, Cyborg, and Holmes, who do you think has the best shot of beating Rousey at this time?
It would have to be Cyborg. Carano and Holmes have predominantly stand-up backgrounds, and you're in an enclosed thing. You're in a cage. She's going to get her hands on you, and I just don't think that they have the takedown and throw defense that they would need to stop it from going to the ground. As soon as it goes to the ground, their strongest areas are gone, So, that's putting her on top in a dominant position where she is, far better than them. So I think that they're great, but they would have to knock her out. I'm not saying anything towards their skills, but it's just nobody can contest it, that the two strikers have dedicated the predominantly their time in the stand-up game, and she has the ability to take it to the ground. Because that's what I feel about myself, too. I spent a lifetime taking people off their feet. If I get my hands on you, I'm going to take you off your feet. I don't care if you've done it for 6 months. I don't care if you've done it for 4 years. I've done it for 16, and I did it against the best people in the world in a stance. It's like the most defendable position for any kind of takedown or throw, So that would have to put Cyborg, but I truthfully do not think Cyborg can make that weight. I know that there's all these rumors, and I know every other month there's an article released about her and she's going to kill Ronda, but I don't see it happening. So.
Well, the first question is, can she make 40? She has to make 140 first. I think she's supposed to make that here in a couple months. If she make 40, how does she recover? How does she look? And then you and I both know, making 40 and making 35 is a totally different weight class. It's a totally different mindset.
It is.
5 pounds is
it
huge.
Is. 5 pounds on somebody that has to cut hard to 145? No. I don't even think she can do it, but I think that if by some miracle, some way she did, I think she's too sucked out, and she's not, she's not going to recover and be able to do it. So, I know everybody has this high hope for it, and it's been released for the past couple of years that she's going to do this, but I don't know how many times she can fall for the same, line.
Please don't take this the wrong way, but if the UFC does sign her for 135 and she convinces she can make the weight, but she goes, hey, I want a warm-up fight first, I want you to call Dana White and beg and plead and scrape and do whatever you have to do to get that fight first, because the first time she makes 35, that next day she tries to recover, we both know trying to recover after a hard cut like that is not the same. You're going to crush her.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the end of it.
Yeah.
That's the end of that rumor, and then you can get back on to being the next person in line to go ahead and do it. So it's
I I only have so much time left in MMA. You know, I'm not going to do this forever. And I would love to fight all of the girls that are like in the top, you know, all of the top girls. I don't care, you know, I want to test my skills against the best. That's what I'm in this for. If it's, you know, as long as I can pay my bills, you know, then, you know, I'll do this as long as my desire is there. But yeah, I think that she's a very skilled opponent, and I think that'd be awesome.
Well, we spend far too much time talking about an old fight. Let's talk about your new fight, a real fight coming up, Lauren Murphy. You're 7-1, she's 8-0. Break her down for me. I know you've seen tape on her. I know you've looked at her. Tell me what you see in her that maybe I don't catch when I'm watching film on her, and how do you think this fight's going to work out? Is it going to be a lot of stand-up? Is it going to be more of a lot of ground game?
You know what? Like, I'm not going to reveal exactly what, you know, what my game plan is.
I can tell you exactly what your game plan is. I can tell you what it is. There's no secret. There's no secret what your game plan is going to be. She's a striker. Of her 8 fights, she has 6 KOs, 0 submissions, 2 decisions. You're a wrestler. You're going to take her down, put her on her back, and beat the crap out of her. That's what's going to happen. And the thing is that you're so good at that style of fighting that you can write it down for her, send it to her in an email, let her know exactly second for second what you're going to do. And to be honest, I don't think there's any hope of her being able to stop it.
Well, I mean, and she's tough. You know, she can definitely take a punch, and she rallies back, you know, against some good opponents. So I just like to have a lot of action. I like to get in there, and I'm totally cool with brawling. I mean, like, unfortunately, I'm a little too cool with it, but like, it probably should move my head better and be a little smarter in the pocket. But yeah, I mean, there is no secret. I love being on top. I love looking for submissions and you know, ground and pound. So obviously, that's where
it's going to be a great fight. And I will say that Lauren Murphy's bottom game is not been tested, and it's severely underrated. But you're also a super high level. You can't even say world class wrestler anymore, because you're beyond that now. You've gone from being a high level world class wrestler to being a high level world class MMA competitor on the ground as well. So you kind of have a good mix of both. That I just don't see Lauren be able to stop whatever you give her on the ground. Like, it's just not going to happen. She's going to have to accept it and try to find a way to survive more so than try to find a way to win. That's just how I see this fight breaking down.
Yeah, I've been working a lot on, you know, clearing the ways that people try to, like, slow me down and tie me up, you know, to hope to get it stood back up. And, you know, really punishing people in there. If they're not opening up and they're not trying for submissions and trying to attack, you know, they're going to be more sitting ducks for me. So, and we focus a lot on that.
All right, last question before I get you out of here, Sarah. I know that you're busy. You got your family to worry about. You've got training to worry about, and it's getting that time now. You got to start, you know, really focusing tough and hard and getting that extra workout in every day, which is sleep, and concentrating on getting more rest. Who right now, out of all the MMA fighters that are competing, past or present, who's your favorite MMA fighter to watch compete? Whether you like their style or mimic yourself after them or not, just you like watching them compete.
I've been a huge fan of Jose Aldo for a while, and I think especially because, I mean, just the fact that he came from a soccer background and has been able, like, everybody comes from, you know, some kind of combative background, you know, but to come from a soccer background, that just blows my mind. And then to have the takedown defense that he has, like, you know, against very high level good wrestlers, like, that's amazing to me. You know, like, his striking is really tight and good. Like, his takedown defense is good. He was able to control the fight and where it goes. And, you know, I just like his skill set. So I've been a huge fan of his for a while.
Well, there you have it, Jose Aldo. Sara McMann is your number one fan. And I got to kind of give you a little geeky moment there, Sarah, that I'm probably his number 2 fan because I love watching him too. And it hurts me because I watch him, because sometimes he has to fight my friends, and I kind of have to sit there and bite the bullet.
I know.
But it's like, man,
I can't even watch it when it's other wrestlers. Like, because I'm a huge fan of his, but I just can't root against a wrestler. So I'm like, I'm just not even going to watch the fight. This is, you know.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I know I said last question, but I have one more. Daniel Cormier or John Jones? Who wins?
Well, I always, I got to pick with my heart. Cormier's been my friend for, over a decade, and, I believe in him. So, I mean,
Well,
I'll
I'll tell
always
you what.
stand behind Cormier. I think John Jones is a really cool guy, but I've met, Cormier's my guy.
As of today, this is my 9th interview of today, and it is 9-0, a clean sweep for Daniel Cormier of everyone I've asked. So far, all the other athletes in both low level and high level fights, they're fighting. It doesn't make a difference of what organization or promotion they're fighting for. Everyone right now is all picking DC.
Well, here's one thing too. I don't know. I think it's just like an American thing, but people, I've noticed, they just love to see, like, people want someone to win, but we don't want them to win too much, Like, you can have the belt for maybe, like, 4 times, and then everybody wants you to go down. So you just have to remember that about MMA. Like, like, everybody gets on the edge of their seat to see the number 1 guy get taken out. So that's probably part of it. If you see a strong contender, everybody's kind of chomping at the bit a little bit.
I believe it. But, of course, DC, as we both know, is such a great guy, such a nice guy that he's well worthy of having the belt. But if John Jones keeps it, it's not surprising either. It all makes sense. Yeah,
I think that Cormier is probably one of the most gifted athletes that I've ever been around. I mean, he just is so explosive, like such balance, coordination. He's fluid. He's picked up the striking like unbelievably well. Like, I'm super jealous. But,
yeah, he really has.
But he's put in the time, and then he put in the work to get his weight back down and get it under control. Like, I think he's earned it.
Yeah, he definitely has, and what a great guy. So anyway, Sara, thank you so much for coming on here. I know you don't do very many interviews, and I appreciate it. Have a great rest of the night, and good luck against Lauren Murphy. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you. Bye.